The average person probably plays most of their games on a fairly decent computer. However, most people, such as myself, don't have the budget to afford that kind of machine, and instead have to settle with a cheaper option, such as I have done. In my case, an HP school laptop. Can I beat Fallout New Vegas with this laptop? Short answer, yes. Long answer, let me give you some context. This is what I'm using to play New Vegas. It is a 14-inch laptop I bought from Walmart back in late May for about $300. Mouse not included. I don't know the exact specs, but I can tell you I didn't modify any of the hardware. I'm using OBS to record my gameplay, and I got New Vegas on Steam. I didn't install any mods for a vanilla experience. I played on normal difficulty the entire run, and all the DLC are downloaded. This was also my first time playing New Vegas. However, due to various Fallout challenge runners, mod showcasers, and lore channels, I somewhat knew what I was doing. Despite this, I didn't know everything, and so
Can you please move on?
Wow, patient much? I know you want to watch the run.
I want to see you play, not yap about.
Anyway, enough talking. Let's start. To begin, I tried to make sure I'm actually recording. At this point in time, I didn't know that you could just Alt Escape and was using Shift Tab, which goes to some sort of Steam overlay. From this, you can probably guess how much time I spend around with computers. Off with a good start, I know. After finally waking up, and noticing I could count the pixels on Doc Mitchell's face, I named myself Bob because I thought it'd be funny. I create my beautiful baby boy, and I begin choosing my stats. Most of my choices were done with what I thought fit my character mind rather than what was useful. Case in point, my specials were 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 10. For my tag skills, I decided to keep my energy weapons and explosive tags I got from picking the answers from random, and change the science tag to sneak. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. As for traits, I chose Wild Wasteland because why not, and Heavy Handed because I wanted to use the second trait instead of just leaving it empty, and none of the others looked that interesting. Before I leave, I steal Doc Mitchell's hat before raiding the rest of his home. Finally, I step outside and I'm immediately bombarded with DLC pop-ups. I talk to Sunny Smiles and shoot some bottles before going to hunt some giant lizards. After killing the geckos, I decide to go to chat before going back to Smiles. I go by the schoolhouse, kill some mantises, and then the game freezes for the first time. I was expecting this to happen, but I didn't expect it this early. It wasn't even 40 minutes in. It's almost like it's running on a laptop not meant for this kind of work. I'm just gonna spoil it for you, but this wasn't the only freeze that happened. Shocker, I know. I'm not gonna mention all of them, however, I will mention the notable ones. Continuing, I reload a save, and just happened to be after I left the saloon. I go through the entire thing again, shoot the geckos again, go past the schoolhouse and shoot the mantises again, only this time, I speak to Victor. After selling my DLC spears and tribal armor for some dynamite and shotgun shells, I go by the cemetery and try to snipe some bowflies. Something I want to point out is that the majority of the time I couldn't target anything in VATS, as the hit chance would nearly always be 0. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I don't think that's supposed to happen. After taking care of the bowflies, I finally finished the tutorial by creating healing powder. I decided to walk back to Good Springs and the game froze. The next day, I changed my game settings so I can't count the individual pixels, and I once again decide to walk back. Not freezing this time, and I go to chat before leaving town. Since I didn't do the quest to defend Good Springs, Powder Gangers ignored me for now. It was also around this time I decided on what ending I was going to do. I chose Yes Man, because why not? The road north was rather uneventful, except for the random freeze. When I reload, I get a recharger rifle from a dead Bright follower. I never used it, but I thought I'd let you know. I go past the bridge into Hidden Valley, harass some bark scorpions, and level up for the first time, choosing Swift Learner. I then try to remember which bunker the Brotherhood uses, get it wrong, before moving on to the east side of Hidden Valley. About to stomp some more dog arachnids before spotting a rad scorpion. Turning around, I appropriately say, I ain't fucking with that. So I go back to Hidden Valley, go south near the correctional facility, somehow not get blown up by a powder charge, and make my way to Sloan. It was here I encountered a problem with either Alt Escape or Shift Tab. Sometimes the game window would just be this and nothing would fix it, and I would have to close the game through Alt F4. Afterwards, I go back to Goodsprings to take the road north. I knew what to expect, so I decided to climb the mountains to avoid the Cazadors. Well, the moment I saw one of the bigger ones, I fled. I don't remember what I was thinking at that moment, but I'm sure it was a similar reaction to seeing that rad scorpion from my floor. I ain't fucking with that. Anyway, I fast traveled to Gene Sky Driving and I followed the railroad tracks towards Prim. The walk itself was uneventful, so I'll spare you the details. When I reached Prim, I parkoured my way up, jumped over some mines, and almost used up all my energy cells on 2 escaped convicts. I didn't go into the Vicky and Vance Casino, but instead into the Mojave Express. I go in and only look at ED because my repair skill is practically non-existent. I move on, shoot a convict in the back of the head with a shotgun. This jackal didn't move and pay the price, and then I got chased by the parents of a small rad scorpion I killed. I somehow get this one stuck on the ledge before being jump scared by one that snuck up behind me. I quickly figured out they can't climb cars, and so I used it to my advantage. I proceed to kill the rest of the scorpions this way, probably wasted a 40mm grenade on this one, and made it to the Mojave outpost. And then I pulled a 180, killed a group of jackals with another probable waste of 40mm, and then got jump scared by everyone's second favorite jump scarer. Despite everyone's better judgment, I didn't kill him. Oliver Swanek, on the other hand,
What do you think?
I didn't talk to Vulpes. Instead, I just walked past it. I walked the road a bit, saw a shootout with Legion and several traders, shot some Vipers, and here I feel like I need to mention I'm not attacking the Legion because I don't want to encounter any Legionary assassins, especially this early in the game. Eventually, I reached Novak, talked to Sniper from TF2 if he was depressed and an American, forgot where the bill of sale was, and brought Jeannie May out in front to get her head blown off. I get Boone as a companion and reach level 4. I take Swift Learner again and make my way north. For some reason, I decided that no ants in El Dorado were to be spared and massacred them all. I have no idea what I thought I was doing here. I make it to the 188 trading post, talk to Veronica, wanted to do the low intelligence speech check, decided against it. I walked past Camp McCarran, fast traveled back to Prim, went into the Vicky and Vance casino, and then it crashed. Properly this time. I reload, save Deputy Beagle, saw this, saw an indefinite loading screen, went back to Goodsprings for some reason, and finally did the Ghost Town gunfight quest. Due to how far into the game I am, the powder gangers are basically nothing, and I level up to 6 and pick Educated. After dealing with them, I decide to take care of the rest of them and go to the correctional facility. Little did I know about Fault 19. I go back to the Mojave outpost, spot Cass but don't talk to her, instead talk to Ranger Ghost, Major Knight, and Ranger Jackson, continue my Ant genocide, talk to Lieutenant Hayes, and finally get Prim under NCR control. I chose the NCR because I didn't have the science to get Prim Slim in charge, and I had already cleared out the powder gangers. I fast traveled to Novak, reach Repcon test site twice due to a freeze, continue killing ants, I have no idea what these ants did to me, and I reach the Grub and Gulp. I take the east road from the crossroads, kill some golden geckos, and reach level 8. I once again take the Swift Learner perk, and I have enough to reach 65 repair skill. I walk into Camp Golf, then fast travel back to Prim to get EDE, momentarily thought he disappeared, walked around the outskirts of Vegas, saw a completely normal New Vegas site that wasn't there when I reloaded, killed Cook, visited the Gunrunners, and then finally went into Freeside. At some point before this, I managed to collect well over 2,000 cap, so I got into the strip no problem. I go into the tops, look at Benny to level up to 9, and realize I don't have any weapons to kill him. I go to the gun runners real quick, but I later realize that trip was pointless as I talk to Swink and pass the 30 skill speech check that allows me to keep my guns and most of the top guards from attacking me, leaving only Benny and his personal squad. For the first, but not only time, I'm brought to an uncomfortably low amount of health. Fortunately, I only had to heal myself once the entire fight, as Boone and EDD dealt with most of the goons, and Boone seemed to have shot Benny square in the chest. Once the fight is over, I reach level 10 and take the mysterious stranger perk. Spoiler alert, he never appeared once. I once again forget where something is, that being Yes Man this time, and I talk to him. I travel to Camp Golf to get the Lucky 38 VIP card, make my way north from there, for some godforsaken reason, somehow end up in the Gypsum train yard after hitting level 11, explore Camp Guardian for a bit before I finally stop stalling and begin talking to the tribes. I travel to Dan's Sack Caravan and snake my way up towards Nellis Air Force Base to meet the boomers. I traverse the artillery, only getting hit once as I begin having flashbacks to my time playing Verdun, and I'm taken into the base. I talk to Pete to hear the history of the boomers, probably being the only person in history that actually listened, fixed the solar arrays, fixed Jack's love life, for some reason stalled and went back to Sloan for Snuffle's leg, but I didn't have the medicine skill, but I did fix the generators. I once again go stalling for a bit, and at some point got vilified by the Legion by killing 2 groups of them that Boone sniffed out. I get to level 14 from this, but I now have Legionary Assassins on my back for the rest of the game. And oh boy, how they were a pain in the ass. Like the crashes, I won't mention all my encounters with them. I go to Good Springs and actually fight the Cazadors up north before once again stalling and going to Wolfhorn Ranch, which is close to where I met my first group of Legionary Assassins. ADD was taken out almost instantly by Super Sledge, and Boone took some rounds before falling. Despite this, the only assassin who was really a threat to me was the one with the hunting rifle. However, I knew at some point this would change. For now, though, I continue my journey, wiped out some more ants, and returned to Nellis. Turns out I lied, or forgot, or more likely I didn't actually look that closely at the recording while writing the script about sending Janet to Nellis. So I fixed that, and finally get to the part where I left the B-29. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I stalled again, not really doing anything significant. 2 years later, and I finally get the bomber out of the water. I hit level 16 from some light gambling and take the tag perk, adding an extra 15 points to my speech. I finally talk to Mr. House, dump all the stuff I don't need in the presidential suite, and get a thermic lance off of the Legionary Assassin. Like the recharger rifle, I never used it. I go back to Nipton and finally deal with Volpez, give some drugs to Flight Gondola, finally report to Ghost what happened, and reach level 17 from selling a crap ton. I dismissed Boone and took Veronica to meet the Brotherhood, and the game froze as soon as I turned around. I tested her combat strength on the North Powder Ganger camp, and here I found that melee companions won't move onto an enemy unless they're close or you have their behavior known as keep distance enabled. If none of these happen, they will usually just crouch next to you. Because I didn't know this, and I didn't have any way of fixing it, I made Veronica use ranged weapons. Anyway, I forgot, or most likely never even knew, the location of the dead scouts, so I had to follow the pit boy. Ignore the fact I'm a dumbass and forgot to give Veronica power armor from the dead scouts. And even more of a dumbass for giving her leather armor later on. On my way to Repcon headquarters, I encountered both some Legionary assassins that were harder to kill than usual, and that keep distance thing where Veronica, even when being shot at, didn't even try to attack any of them. I honestly thought I was going to die, and I almost did several times. Thankfully, it was nothing a few sodas and high explosives couldn't fix. As most of my armor was destroyed, I went back to the Lucky 38 to get some more, and gave Veronica the aforementioned leather armor. I still don't know what the hell I was doing, but later on I eventually regain a brain. That moment is not now, however, so she stuck with what I gave her. I go back to the Elder and get sent to talk to some knights, and at some point murdering an entire family of coyotes. After that, I clear out Nelson, see yet another normal New Vegas site that is taken care of by appropriate means, increase to level 18 at some point during my clearing, getting my speech skill to 100, and get sent for parts for the bunker air filtration system. The first vault I hit, 11, was honestly not as hard as I thought it would be. The hardest part was finding my way around. I reached level 19 by the end. The next one I went to, Vault 3, was honestly the same deal, except there wasn't a death room at the end, and I sold some of my drugs. As for Vault 22, that trip would have been the same deal as the other two, had I not tried to find the trapped person in the caves for over an hour. Either I was blind, or the person only appears once you activate the quest she is tied to. Eventually, I leave and finally get the Brotherhood to lift the lockdown. A poorly calculated fast travel almost kills me. I get to level 22 from clearing out a cave of geckos, and I meet Julie Farkas, properly meeting the followers of the apocalypse. Screw you, Emily. I give EDE to the followers to get upgraded, and take Ganon as a companion for some time. Once again, I go stalling again, going by Boulder City to meet everyone's favorite private. However, Kowalski was nowhere to be found. Even after I shot the memorial and waited a full 24 hours, there was nothing. I assumed it was a bug, but for all I know, it was an intentional event where he leaves after a time. After that disappointment, I do some small diplomacy and some drinks before going back to Freeside for the Kings. I let them deal with Forrest, do some running back and forth before getting both level 23 and a favor from the King, which I didn't use right away. I go back to the followers to talk about Rex's deteriorating brain. They say someone in a ski lodge could help, and as soon as I get Rex, I'm on my way. For once, I didn't go stalling, and actually went on my way to Jacobtown immediately. I talked to Dr. Henry without much incident, and I talked to Lady Gibson to get Ray's brain.
Here, Ray. Mama's got something for you.
After this, I get uncomfortably close to Marcus as he ironically describes how the town is getting harassed by some mercenaries. I talk them down and get Henry to plant the brain into Rex. I let the king know, and he's so jubilated he lets me keep Rex for a little bit longer. Afterwards, I went to the White Glove Society, saved Ted, and I intended to kill the White Gloves, either from me or Gunderson. However, for whatever reason not even I know, I didn't. Instead, I just talked Gunderson down, and that was that. Problem solved. Despite the fact some of the members of the White Gloves are still cannibals, but I guess we're ignoring that. I level up, get Explorer, and went on my way to get EDE back. I get Veronica again, make my way up Black Mountain, use a glitch I once saw in a toothpaste commercial, fix Rhonda, and get Danny Trejo as a companion. I probably fucking butchered that. I go east, which turns out to have been a very bad idea, as I experienced my first death by being torn in half by a deathclaw. And my second. I died the first time due to panicking, and the second time was just me being stupid. There wasn't a third time, as I realized I couldn't win, and I wouldn't get much if I did. I then did a full hour of basically nothing before going into Camp McCarran. I didn't do anything major other than convince a rape victim to seek therapy. I then go to Red Rock Canyon to finally meet the Khans. After stealing some evidence, Carl was put down like a dog in front of the fireplace. I talked to all three of the advisors and made Papa Khan sever their ties with Caesar. At this point, I could have left, but I went ahead and became idolized. Once again, I stalled more than a plane going straight up, encountered what could have been my third death had I not been prepared for such a situation, and I fought an eldritch monstrosity that was incorrectly labeled as a Nightkin, whose looting caused my game to crash. I found Benny still dead in the tops, and I took his suit that he had been marinating in. I returned to Novak to pick Boone up, and after over an hour of, you guessed it, doing nothing, I finally go to Gamora. I walk around, find both blackmail and some stuff that would probably not sit right with YouTube or any modern game, destroy and steal some weapons, and torch Big Sal and Neuro, putting Conchino in charge. That would have been all I did had I not seen the things I saw. Suffice it to say, I completely understand why Nurbit wipes them out. Unlike the White Gloves, I wasn't going to let them slide. I get everything I need, such as repairing my newly acquired flamer, and begin wiping out the place. I was going to only kill the Immortus, but Boone shot an entertainer in the lobby. and soon everyone was in our crosshairs. This has got to be the worst thing I have ever done in a video game. The closest being when I roleplayed as the Daleks in Stellaris. The only people left alive were two gamblers that escaped at the beginning of my extermination. After I had reflected on what I did for a minute, I talked to Ambassador Crocker. Almost 47 hours in, and I yet to talk Dennis. Anyway, I talked to the king for that favor to bring peace to Freeside. I met Colonel Moore, and I told her that the Great Khans and the Umurtas were dealt with, and was told to remove Mr. House. Before that, though, I quickly got the snow globes I had yet to get, except for the DLC ones. In the process, I sent some bright followers to somewhere, as I apparently didn't do that way earlier, brought my grandma along, somehow ended up in Vault 19, walked into Cap Searchlight, and went into the fort to upgrade the Securitrons, and in the process, killed Caesar. Or is it Kaiser? When I next talk to House, I bolt straight to the control room and turn off his interface. I am then tasked with destroying the Brotherhood. So I do the opposite and tell Moore they're willing to put a truce. I get assigned to defend the president, who is coming to the dam, so I immediately steal the assassin's detonator. I could have technically finished the game here with the NCR, but I had already decided back in my first 2 hours of playing to beat the game with Yes Man. So I tell Yes Man to go to the Lucky 38, his previous form flops on the ground, and now he is Big Brother. I put the thingamajig in the substation, and now it was time. I gear up and get sent to the dam. The initial fight was going swimmingly. I turned on the generator while killing the two NCR heavy troopers, however I made EDE and Boone wait as I thought he would be pissed at me turning on the generator. And when I tried to get them back, the damn elevator exploded. I reloaded a save, got through the fight faster this time, and when we had gotten to the other side of the dam, the game froze. However, not only did the game freeze, OBS also didn't record the last 16 minutes. So it was all just a black screen. I talked down the legate, even though I probably should have fought him, and told General Oliver to go to his room after he had a fit the NCR won't get the dam. And as Yes Man rolled over to me, I had just beaten Fallout New Vegas with my horrible laptop. I really enjoyed playing Fallout New Vegas. Despite the graphics being a product of its time, especially in some areas, I liked it for the most part due to this. As someone who has played Fallout 4 on the PlayStation since 2016, and was somewhat indifferent to the story of that game, both the story and characters in New Vegas are immense improvements to 99% of Fallout 4. As for gameplay, maybe it's just me, but when I eventually got used to playing with a keyboard and mouse, the controls and movements didn't feel all that different. The gunplay itself, I felt like, was a bit better than Fallout 4, and the guns looked like guns rather than giant bricks in your hands. The only issues I had were the constant freezes, but I think it's more of a computer I have rather than the game itself. I was originally going to put a counter in one of the corners, but that would have been more work for already delayed video. Like, this was supposed to come out in November. On that note, please like if you like this video, dislike if you don't, and subscribe. Or don't. I'm not your parent. Thank you for watching, if you still are. Later.